Hey guys, so I just recently finished reading Elvis and Ginger. Uh, I highly recommend this book, especially if you're interested in the last few months of Elvis's life. So Ginger Alden was Elvis's last girlfriend or fiance. So this was written, I think this book came out in about 2014. So she mentioned that after Elvis, she's kind of like she went on with her life. She eventually got married, had a son, and she devoted all her time being a mom that once I think he went to college, she decided to finally write her story. And I guess there's a lot of negative things that have been written about her. She wasn't too popular among, I guess, the inner circle, Elvis's inner circle. She mentions that she's being, she was very shy, and I mean, sometimes when you're shy, it can people can take that the wrong way. They might think that you're kind of full of yourself, or you're, not genuine, I guess. And she also mentioned, like, when she was with Elvis, she was basically just with Elvis. Like she would be in his room, or most of the time. So she didn't really have that time. And she even mentions that she's was one of her regrets is she didn't really have that relationship with the other people in Graceland. And even Lisa, she wished that she had more of a relationship with her. So even like early impressions when I saw like interviews with Ginger on YouTube and stuff. I thought maybe she would be like I thought maybe she was like just using Elvis's fame to advance her own career. But that's kind of like after reading this, that's totally not true. So she mentions how they met Elvis. It really, the relationship really started really quick. Her sister won a beauty pageant, I think Miss Tennessee, and she was invited to Graceland for a tour to meet Elvis. And she didn't want to go by herself, so Ginger went with her. And that's Elvis just became interested in Ginger, and within a week later, she's like, going to Las Vegas to for one of Elvis's tour. And it's kind of funny. In Linda Thompson's book, I read Linda Thompson's book, and she talks about I think like one of the last like time she was with Elvis, they were on this like I think they were in Vegas, and she Elvis tells her that he chartered a plane so Linda could go back to Memphis to be with her family, and Linda goes, you have another girl, in the suite downstairs or something like that, or in one of the rooms downstairs. I think Elvis kind of like denied it or whatever, but she Ginger in her book confirms that she was that girl waiting for Elvis, and because she said that she was flown in to Vegas, right? And she was just in her room for like the whole day, and she was wondering what's going on, and she was just told that just to stay there. And I guess it turned out that Elvis was kind of with Linda, trying to, I don't know, end that relationship or whatever. But and she confirms that she was that girl that was waiting for Elvis. So the relationship really starts really quick, but this is kind of like towards like she really mentions like about the book. It's like that what they basically when they were in Graceland, they were just in his room, and Elvis was really into like reading like these spiritual books, religion books, and he would just read books to her, and they would watch TV. So that was kind of like basically their, they didn't really like towards the end of his life, he didn't really go out much, and she talks about how his kind of his odd behavior, his like there's like with the guns and stuff, like there's like there would be in his room and his bathroom, like his toilet would be like making sounds like these weird, and he'd get a machine gun and shoot up the toilet. So she was like, she was taken back. There's a couple times when she would leave, and cause, she thought that there was she didn't want to be part of that, or but they would always get back together. And she never really lived at Graceland, but she would like leave during the morning because she was still living with her parents. And they also talk about how Elvis loved her parents during the period that her parents were getting a divorce. And but Elvis loved her family, and he wanted her mother to move closer to Graceland. He was going to buy them a new house, and she was like, no, we liked her house. We liked her house. Well, he said, well, you know what? I'm going to pay for your mortgage, and so you don't have to worry about, paying your house. I'm going to pay for you because Elvis was a really giving person. He's always buying like cars and stuff for everybody. how homes, coats, jewelry, all that. And he mentions like all the stuff he bought her and her family. So he says, I'm gonna pay for your mortgage and all that, and we're gonna install a pool. So, well, fast forward to the end. Obviously, Elvis passes away, and they get a call. Vern calls him, come back to Graceland, and they say, well, we can't do that anymore. You're 2 months late on your mortgage, so that's a big shocker. They wound up suing the Elvis estate for that, and I think they didn't win or anything, but that's like one of the things I think people talk about, how they say that her family rounds up suing Elvis's estate. That's one of the reasons why, I guess, because they said, well, Elvis promised that he was going to pay for their mortgage or their house, and then it turns out like passes away, and now they're like 2 months late on it, and there's no way they can afford it, but she talks about that. There's some shots of Linda Thompson in the book. She talks about how Elvis wanted her to get new clothes, so they went to she goes to Los Angeles, and Elvis wires him like $2,000, and Joe Esposito says that, $2,000, that would only buy one pair of clothes for Linda, and Ginger was like saying, well, I'm not Linda Thompson, that's plenty enough for me. And also she's like taken back when she goes to like Elvis's home, and I guess one of the like bathrooms or dressing rooms was like kind of like devoted to Linda's room or space, and she saw all these like women's clothes and stuff. So she was like, eventually like Elvis like took everything out and made it into Ginger's area of the house, I guess. So yeah, and then of course she talks about kind of like the end, the ending of how basically August 16th, what happened, the last moments of Elvis, and how she discovered him and all that. And there's been kind of talks, and there's like a conspiracy where she kind of found him. There's like something that I read where she like kind of found him before anybody. Like I think she may report like it was like 2 o'clock or 2:30 that she found him in the bathroom. But there's some rumors or some like conspiracy theories where she found him earlier and she didn't know what to do, and she called her mom, and that she was like, oh, like what are we gonna do, and all that kind of thing, because there's kind of like a lot of like rumors that her families were just using Elvis for like gifts and stuff like that, and all that. But I'm not sure if that's true or not. She mentions like, there's one book mentions that they had an argument or something where like she wasn't going. This other book I'm reading, Death of Elvis, she's like, there's like a part of the book where they're talking about how like they had an argument, and because she didn't want to go on the last tour, which would have been the tour that never was, that she didn't wanted to go. But she talked about how like that day she had her period, and it was really like it was rough. So she didn't want to go on because the tour was going to start, I think, on August 17th. So she was going to I guess they were going to leave I guess August 16th that night. But she didn't want to accompany him. She wanted to wait a day or so she would feel better. And I think, but she didn't mention that they were having an argument or anything. This book kind of like goes into something about like him like trying to replace her with another girl or something, but I'm not too sure about that yet. I'm still reading that book, but she mentions that like she would go in like 1 or 2 days until she felt better. But and then she said that she was on that morning or that afternoon she woke up, and I think she called her mom for something, and then she called her friend, but her friend was going on tour with them, I think, was going to accompany them. And she was like, you know what, maybe I will go on tour, and I'll start in the, and I won't wait those 2 days. And, let me see where Elvis is and stuff. So it made it sound like she kind of like woke up and then went to the bathroom and saw him. That's what I thought happened. But according to this book, she kind of got up, went to her own bathroom, and spoke to her mom, and then spoke to her friend, and then she was going to go find Elvis and tell him that, oh, you know what, I'm changing my mind. I think I will go on tour with you, and I will go. And that's when she found him. So, and I mean, I highly recommend this book if you're really, interested. If you're into reading about his life and stuff, and also about her. It's like, basically, she thought she was gonna, have this, like, marry Elvis, and have this life with him, and all this stuff, and all of a sudden, everything within like seconds, everything changes, and she really talks to the aftermath of that, and how she wasn't really like, she really felt like she was like, she was going to be the queen of the castle, and then all of a sudden, the king dies, and now she's like, kind of not like, Elvis said once told her, you're gonna be the woman of the house and stuff like that, and at his funeral she was kind of like treated, she was just another person pretty much. So much that she was kind of like in the limos, the white limos. She was like in the fifth car, and stuff like that. Of course, Priscilla, I think, was in the car number one, I guess, whatever. I don't know. But she kind of had talked about that kind of late, that she kind of felt like after Elvis died, that she was kind of like, not important, I guess, or especially in that group. But yeah, that's pretty much it with this book. Definitely, highly recommend it. About it's a long read. It's about 380 pages. And you get a lot about Elvis's life during that time period. Talks about their trip to Hawaii, and there's like photos of that out, of his last trip to Hawaii, and that, and it's fun. It's funny that she just mentioned, like, during his last, that his last day, they talk about like how they wanted to get, he wanted to get married with, and he was like, I think they were planning to get married on Christmas. So that's that, and then the other things online. I don't know if you follow the Memphis Mafia Kid. He does, like, answer questions and stuff like that. And one of the questions was, like, he mentioned, like, they were asked, was Elvis going to really marry Ginger? And he kind of hesitated for a second, and he kind of, and he kind of said no. He didn't think that he was going to marry Ginger, and I kind of thinking, that, he says one woman wouldn't be enough for Elvis. And I kind of believe that. Like, I think that Elvis was just like, at that time, like, he was going to move on to somebody else probably. And then there'd be, if he lived, there'd be another woman, there'd be another woman, because this is the way. I mean, like, his lifestyle and stuff like that. Like, I don't think one woman would have been enough for him, pretty much. Him to settle down again. Maybe they would have gotten married. Who knows? But I don't think it would have. I think it would have been postponed, whatever. But who knows what really would have happened? But just definitely check this out if you're really interested in the last part of his life.